Hey, everybody, welcome back. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health, welcoming you to another live edition of Fire Your MD. Now, we need perspective when it comes to the way that our health care is disseminated here, because in point of fact, it's not health care, it's disease management, and everybody needs to know that. It should be illegal for MDs to advertise that they practice health care because, in point of fact, they practice disease management. There's nothing wrong with disease management as long as the client, the patient, knows that what they're signing up for is disease management as opposed to health care. If MDs practiced health care, then we would be getting healthier, but we are, in fact, getting sicker. The statistics are alarming. Arthritis is rapidly rising. Obesity has risen by 30% in our childhood population in the last 20 years. 1/3 of American adults are obese. Type 2 diabetes is rapidly rising in incidence. Arthritis, heart disease, cancer, multiple sclerosis, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. All of these conditions are getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse with the passage of time. And, you know, we're locked into this cultural myth that, well, that's kind of just life, and, you know, there's probably some toxic crap in the environment, or solar rays, or ultraviolet radiation sneaking in from the Pleiades, or whatever, and that's really what's causing all of this nonsense. But in point of fact, the reason that everybody is getting worse in the health arena is because the MDs suck at health care. They do not practice health care. They do not. Their therapeutics are suited for trauma, surgery when it's necessary, and a handful of infectious diseases. That's it. That's the wheelhouse of the reductionistically trained allopathic physician, otherwise known as your MD. But people in the United States, quite frankly, not even physicians understand this distinction. Because MDs actually believe that it's their way or the highway, that their way is the only way, and that everybody but the MD practices substandard quack medicine. They do. I mean, for goodness sake. It's one of life's greatest ironies, I believe, that people who espouse the scientific method, that people who believe that, you know, the rational scientific method is best, completely overlook the obvious, the simple fact of the matter that while they have been in charge of medicine, our health is getting worse and worse and worse. And it's not because we have a bad gene. It's not because we're suffering from a voodoo curse. It's because the MD point of view, the perspective that the MD is trained in when it comes to health and disease is wrong. It's wrong. It's not right. It's wrong. It's completely incorrect. They've thrown the baby out with the bathwater. The tumor is not the disease. It is the result of the disease. So what do cancer researchers do? Well, they'll genetically manipulate a mouse so that it has a pancreatic cancer tumor. Now they have 10,000 mice, all who have pancreatic cancer tumors, and the reason that they have pancreatic cancer tumors is because they were put there by the MD. The MD spliced some genes together and did this, that, and the other thing to the chromosomal material of the mouse and made the mouse mass-produced mice with pancreatic cancer tumors. All right? So then they take all those 10,000 mice and they try to develop therapies to kill the tumor, which is nuts on the face of it, but that's what they do. Because wouldn't it be better to, you know, not genetically manipulate the mouse in the first place so it doesn't have the cancer tumor? But this isn't how they think. They actually believe that the tumor is the disease. It's the tumor is the thing. So their therapeutics are designed to kill the tumor, get rid of the tumor, surgically remove the tumor. And we need more surgical procedures. We need more advanced robot surgeons. That's what we need. We need laser scalpels. That's what we need. We need more effective anesthetics. We need much more effective antibiotics so people don't get secondary and tertiary infections post-operation, because really, surgery is the only thing that can cure cancer. Oops, did they say the word cure? Well, they shouldn't have. because it is a poor substitute, quite frankly. I mean, we've all become kind of brainwashed, for lack of a better word, to believe in this methodology, and it seems that an entire generation of women are quite frankly okay with having their breasts hacked off when there's even a glimmer of breast cancer anywhere in the neighborhood. Which is tantamount to, let's say there was an epidemic of hand arthritis or hand psoriasis, right? Hand psoriasis. Everybody in the country's got hand psoriasis. It's an epidemic. Well, one solution is to cut the hands off, right? I mean, that's a solution. No more hand psoriasis. We wouldn't put up with that, but we're perfectly okay with hacking off the breasts, hacking off the uterus, hacking off the ovaries, hacking off the prostate, right? Taking the lung out. This is the MD methodology, and it is insane on its face because the tumor is not the disease. The tumor is the result of the disease. The clogged artery in the heart is not the disease. It is the result of the disease. The arthritic knee is not the disease. It's the result of the disease. The funky kidney is not the disease. It is the result of the disease. But the MD does not understand this, and so their therapeutics go round and round and round, trying to figure out some way to remove the tumor. Oh, we have to replace the arthritic knee. Why support and promote the body's ability to have healthy knees in the first place when you can just cut the knee out and put the good old titanium one in there? In a perfect world, I mean, think it through. In a perfect allopathic world, the ultimate end game is, at birth, to take out the heart. Don't need the heart. It's eventually going to fail. You're going to get clogged arteries. The heart's going to go south. There's going to be an enlarged heart. There's going to be some problem somewhere, atrial fib. Something's going to get funky. So everybody gets a mechanical heart. Okay. Don't need the tonsils. Don't need the adenoids. Don't need the appendix. We're going to take all of those out. And you know what? Eventually we're going to get arthritis. So let's give 2 fake knees, 2 fake hips, 2 fake shoulders. And we're going to have robot children. Half machine, half man. Let's do the robot eyes. Let's put the robot eyes in, right? That's the ultimate goal of allopathic medicine, half man, half woman, half machine. Because really, the human body is just a biochemical bag waiting to break. And when it does break, there's no going back. The human body that has consciousness is a function of biochemistry. There's no such thing as a spiritual force inhabiting the human body. There's no such thing as innate, inborn intelligence residing in the human body. When you're dead, it's all over. It's lights out. Consciousness is extinguished. Consciousness is just a function of biochemistry in the first place, so what the hell? Everything that you think and everything that you feel and everything that really makes life what is worthwhile, all the good stuff of life is just biochemical happenstance. This is how the MD thinks. And this is why, since Richard Nixon decided to have a war on cancer in the 60s, we haven't come any closer to being able to cure cancer because we've taken the wrong dog to the hunt. And yet, when you listen to the MDs talk about their stuff, they will denigrate every other medical approach towards cancer. Oh, it's all alternative medicine, right? Baloney. Who called it alternative medicine? They did. Who said that they could call it alternative? Alternative to what? Alternative to MD quackery? All right, the only people selling snake oil in the United States have MD after their name. Don't believe me? Statin drugs. For goodness sake. Oh, how about Vioxx? Vioxx, the pain medication to end all pain medications, completely 100% non-addictive, no addictiveness whatsoever, relieves pain in an instant. 0 side effects. Well, 1 side effect. Death. 500,000 people, more or less, died from Vioxx. Nobody went to jail. Isn't that the very definition of snake oil? It's a drug that's supposed to do A, but instead it does B. Very expensive, and it hurts you. Doesn't do what it said it was going to do, and it hurts you. For goodness sake. This is how far down the road we've come. The MDs kill us. We give them a pass. And can you imagine what would happen if one chiropractor or one naturopathic physician gave one patient one herb and it killed him? We'd be pilloried in the town square. They'd be throwing tomatoes at us. We'd be run out of town on a rail. We'd be tarred and feathered. We'd be vilified in the press. All chiropractic colleges shut down. All chiropractic doctors thrown in jail. All naturopathic doctors, quacks, sent to Quack Island. Just go to Quack Island, you quack. But the MDs kill us. The MDs harm us. The MDs bankrupt us. Nothing happens. This is, again, why what we are up to here is so incredibly important. Because nobody sees it this way, and everybody needs to, because this is the correct way. And it's only, 100 years from now, everybody is going to think like this, because it's only a matter of time until conventional medicine implodes on itself and the whole house of cards falls down. It's only a matter of time. They can prop it up as much as they can, but it's only a matter of time until the whole thing collapses in on itself. And people will look back at conventional medicine, the way that it's practiced today, the same way that we look at, the people bleeding people to death, right? The old-fashioned MD treatment lancet. Right? Oh, that's crazy. We think back in time, that's crazy. Those nuts, how could they get away with that? Well, that's exactly what we'll think in the future when we look back at all of this nonsense proffered by the MDs at our expense with no consequences. MD does not stand for medical deity, but I think many people assume that it does. And this is why I have such a hard line. Because nobody else is telling it like it is. And honest to God, there's no grudge here. You need to fire your medical doctor. Not because of any other reason other than their therapeutics don't work. They do not work. It's time we all collectively got a clue and snapped right out of it. I'm Dr. Glidden. This is Fire Your MD Now. Stick around. Welcome back, everybody. The hubris of the MDs is really quite breathtaking. I was reading on Medscape.com earlier today about this notion of complementary and alternative cancer treatments, and the MDs were basically saying that, the only valid cancer treatments are MD cancer treatments, and everything else is just, quackery. It's quackery. It's people espousing methodology that is, unscientific and untested. And, look, fella, before you take the log out of somebody else's eye or the twig out of somebody else's eye, you better remove the log from your own. Cancer treatment doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. A number of years ago, there was a 14-year study. They looked at cancer treatments for 14 years in adults. Chemotherapy in adults who had developed cancer for 14 years. Huge T-score. Gigantic data points. 14 years of data from adults who had contracted cancer and were treated with chemotherapy. These results of this study were published in the Journal of Clinical Oncology. I'll get those dates for you in a minute here. And the results of that, which were published in the gold standard of cancer research, the Journal of Clinical Oncology, 97% of the time chemotherapy does not work. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. 97% of the time. Now, in a study this big, there's an error score, an error ratio, right? It's 3%. So, what's 97 plus 3? 100. So that means between 94 and 100% of the time, chemotherapy for adult-onset cancer doesn't work. It doesn't work. So can somebody please tell me why a scientist, a medical professional who espouses the scientific, rational method above all else, would continue to prescribe chemotherapy when it's been proven and published that it doesn't work 97% of the time? Can you tell me how they rationalize that? Please, somebody tell me how they rationalize it. I sound like Captain Kirk. I don't know how they rationalize it. I really don't get it. I really just don't get it. But this is prejudice. This is prejudice. I don't understand how slave owners could have justified owning slaves and treating them like they did. I don't get that. I don't get how Klansmen can despise another race of human beings. I don't get how the Nazis could despise and attempt to exterminate an entire race of human beings. I don't get that. I don't get how the other people in Germany who weren't Nazis allowed them to continue to do it, and they didn't do anything about it. I don't get that. I don't get sex slavery. I don't get that. I don't get why there's such an unbelievably bad racial divide in this country now between blacks and whites. I don't get it. But it's everywhere all the time. A lot of things I don't get. One of the biggest is how the MDs can espouse the scientific method and then completely ignore the scientific evidence, which proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that their therapeutics do not work. And then they have the audacity to point the finger at other professions. Oh, those chiropractors are quacks. Did you know that the American Medical Association was found guilty in federal court in the 80s of promoting a 10-year slander campaign against the chiropractors? Found guilty. Ordered to pay the chiropractors $25 million in damage, and nobody went to jail. And there's no public outrage. Ladies and gentlemen, the hubris of your MD is legendary and gigantic and scary. It is on par with slave owners, and I am not exaggerating. They overlook the obvious conveniently. Oh, they're all about research when it proves their point, but when research goes against their intrinsic values, they reject it out of hand. Is this scientific? Is this adult? Does this have integrity? No, it does not. Fire your medical doctor now. Fire them. Stop going to see him. Stop it. Bad dog, no biscuit. They have nothing for you unless you're bleeding to death or have a broken bone. And if you are unlucky enough to be transported to the emergency room, have the emergency room physician drug tested before you let him near you, because as Harvard University published, over 50% of emergency room medical doctors are addicted to street drugs, alcohol, or prescription medications. For goodness sakes, wake up. Enough is enough. The line is drawn here, right now. Fire your medical doctor and stop giving them your respect. We're back after these messages. You know, for one of the best ways that I've been able to kind of partition this phenomenon of the the idiocy which exists in conventional medicine here is by referencing the Harry Potter books. I don't know if there are Harry Potter fans in the audience or not, but in those books there were two groups of people. There were the people who were involved with magic, and then there were the people who were not. And it's like you're either a magic person or you're a muggle, and there's no room for anything in the middle. It's one or the other, and that's, I think, the way that it is basically in the world. I think there are people that are other-centered and have open minds, and there are other people who are I-centered, live their life out of fear, and have closed minds. And those people are in the majority. The people who live their lives out of fear with closed minds are in the majority, and I don't know why that is. Maybe it's some type of cultural karma. Maybe back in Atlantis, it was the other way around, and the people with the open mind screwed it up for everybody. I don't know. I have no idea why this is, but this is how it is. The people who move through life like cowards, intellectual cowardice. I was thinking about this the other day. As a licensed naturopathic doctor in the state of Washington, I can deliver babies, perform minor surgery, prescribe drugs. Yeah, I can prescribe drugs. Order any diagnostic test I want. Legally refer to myself as a physician, and it's all covered by insurance. Pretty great. Now, I went to a fully accredited by the United States Department of Education medical school, graduated, have a license to practice medicine. Have for 2 decades. But if I was simply to walk across state lines, Nothing else changed. Didn't do anything else. Just walked across state lines. Moved from Washington to, let's say, Illinois. In Illinois, it would be illegal for me to call myself a doctor, and it would be illegal for me to practice medicine. Illegal. That's like throw you in jail. Illegal. So, and it's nuts, right? And yet, it's not that it's the same for every naturopathic physician in the world. Every naturopathic physician in the world, right? We're always looking over our shoulder. Is somebody going to show up and cart you away in the middle of the night? The physician who Bastyr University of Naturopathic Medicine in Seattle. There's only a handful of naturopathic medical schools in the country. The one that I graduated from was called Bastyr, B like baby, A, S like Sam, T like Thomas, Y, R, the Bastyr University of Naturopathic Medicine, named after one of the pioneers of naturopathic medicine, Dr. John Bastyr. And Dr. Bastyr was still alive when I was matriculating in medical school at Bastyr University in Seattle. And I attended a couple of lectures that he gave. I was, lucky enough to hear him speak. And Dr. Bastyr anecdotally said, kind of with a chuckle, that when he was growing up, when he was a naturopathic physician, in the 40s and the 50s, that unless you had been thrown in jail, you weren't really considered a naturopathic doctor. And I was wondering to myself, how many MDs would actually be able to handle that psychological stress? How many would actually be able to handle that? Having their profession be on the crap end of the stick. Having their profession be relegated to the back of the bus. Having their profession be considered alternative. How many MDs would be willing to take on that challenge of moving to a state which was unlicensed and unregulated and generating a popular following and then forwarding legislature to get their profession licensed and regulated in that state? How many would be willing to stick their head above the trenches and dodge those bullets? Not very many. And yet this is what naturopathic doctors do every day, all of the time. And yet we're considered back-of-the-bus quacks with substandard training. BS. You got a finger pointing at somebody, you got 4 pointing back at yourself, and that's what's happening with the MDs. They have denigrated every other profession for 100 years, and this is why I hold no quarter with the MD. Why? Because they drew first blood. I'm minding my own business. My colleagues minding their own business, just trying to help humanity. Where's the conversation? Oh, you know what? Our therapeutics really for heart disease are really not any good. Our therapeutics for cancer, you know what? They're really not any good. What does your profession have to offer? Where's that conversation? You would think that conversation would happen. Why hasn't that conversation been entertained? Why haven't the MDs gotten together with the chiropractors and said, hey, you know what? We both have skill sets that we bring to the table here. Let's get together so we can actually fulfill the Hippocratic Oath and help people. Why hasn't that conversation happened? Because the MDs don't give a damn about helping people. They're concerned with maintaining the position at the top at all costs. And this is why they absolutely 100% are undeserving of your respect. They're like the good Germans in World War II. You're right. I mean, they are. Their profession is the leading cause of death. And, maybe they're really good God-fearing Christians. And, maybe they're not the ones that prescribed Vioxx. Maybe they're not the ones that prescribed Premarin. Maybe they have relinquished their membership to the American Medical Association, but they still maintain the MD license. They haven't given that up. They haven't made a public statement that said, you know what, I just can't wear the white coat anymore. I can't do it. Because my profession is just full of it. They're not going to do that. Because they're cowards. Intellectual cowards. Moral cowards. They are. I mean, there are a handful of MDs who support and promote naturopathic medicine and who lobby for us in the legislature, but they haven't given up their MD degree. They could have become chiropractors. They could have become osteopaths. They could have become naturopaths. They could have become herbalists. They could have practiced acupuncture, traditional Chinese medicine, but no. Got to have the cachet of being the MD. Oh, yes, it's very important. It's very important to be a member of the medical profession that's the leading cause of death in the United States, the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States, because when I go to the restaurant and I show up in valet parking with MD on my license plate, I get the red carpet treatment. Yeah, red for blood. So, what the heck are we going to do? Are we going to fight them? You have $10 billion you want to throw around? You got $10 billion, call me up. We'll sue the American Medical Association for racketeering. I think there's a valid charge there. I think that there is. But, who has that kind of money? Not me. Not yet. So, what we can do is an end around. We just ignore them. Just go away. Stop bothering me. My recommendation, you see someone with a white coat, you run the other way. You will never, ever, ever see me wear a white coat. Never. You will not see it. For the same reason that you wouldn't see me wear a Ku Klux Klan outfit. You wouldn't see me do that. You wouldn't see me put a swastika on my arm either, because these are all representations, right, of certain things. That's why they're there. The white coat and the stethoscope around the neck, that delineates MDs. Leading cause of death, leading cause of bankruptcy. An old-fashioned, outdated, unbelievably piss-poor scientific methodology. And, an organization that has gone out of its way to defraud, defame, debunk, slander every other medical practitioner on the face of God's green earth. Why on earth would I want to put a white coat on and associate myself with a group of people that despicable? I wouldn't, and I won't. So, if you see someone with a white coat on, go the other way. Laugh. Turn around, laugh in their face, turn around and walk away. Because they have nothing for you. Unless, of course, you're bleeding to death, and then go in forewarned and forearmed. That's the domain of the MD. Surgery when it's necessary, right? But, like the fellow said, well, when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So even if you don't, in point of fact, need surgery, what do you think the surgeon's going to tell you? Well, you need surgery. So it's a sticky wicket. So what are we going to do? Well, my recommendation is just forget them. Forget them. Just forget them. And instead, educate yourself aggressively about your options inside of the domain of holistic medicine. And, another of life's greatest ironies is that we've all become culturally conditioned to believe that healing is a complicated, sophisticated process that can only take place in multi-million-dollar high-tech medical facilities. It's nonsense. Surgery is complicated. Healing is easy. So, educating yourself about things that you can do for yourself to support your body's built-in God-given ability to optimize its health, that learning curve there's a curve there, but it's a small curve. If you're smart enough to pass the driver's license test, you're smart enough to know the ins and outs of the holistic method and give your body a leg up. You are. It's simple stuff, folks. This is not rocket science. This is not, complicated, sophisticated biochemical pathways with discernment of genetic variables and epigenetic constants and epigenetic stressors. No. That's nonsense. 90 essential nutrients, eliminate the 10 bad foods, get some antioxidants into your body every freaking day, and every once in a while do a cleanse. I mean, That is a million times better than any medical insurance you could even ever think to buy. Why? Because does medical insurance support bone health? Does medical insurance support heart health? Does medical insurance do anything for you? No. And by the way, what is medical insurance? When you buy it, what are you doing? You're betting you're going to get so sick you won't be able to afford it, right? That's what you're doing. So isn't it better, rather than to waste money on medical insurance, to put that money towards essential nutrients that the body needs in order to be healthy? Isn't that a better expenditure of healthcare dollars? I think it is. And this is our method. Fire your medical doctor. Stop going to them for advice. Stop it. Just stop it. Stop it. And educate yourself about simple steps you can take to support and promote your body's ability to fix itself. And the best place to start to do that, drglidden.com, become an insider. I've got videos in there that'll blow your mind and that will walk you through step by step simple things you can do right now to help your body bounce back. As God is my witness, we're suffering needlessly. But there is another way worthy of your consideration. It's right here, right now. Stick around. Much more to come. Angeles, why don't we talk to some people? You don't want to hear me anymore. Let's hear from real people. Let's go. Robert in L.A. Hey, Robert, thanks for the call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden.
What's up, Robert?
I was calling because maybe about an hour ago, I've called before, but my dad got well, it seems like when he coughs too hard or he laughs too hard, he may lose like consciousness and he started kind of like twitching, and then like his jaw got all locked up.
Now, if he laughs too hard, this will happen?
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. How long has that been happening?
Well, he says it's been maybe about 20 years.
All right. So if you ever need to get anything out of your dad, take him to a comedy club, right? And every time he passes out, when he wakes up, you can say, Dad, I really want that, whatever it is, or I'm going to make you laugh again, right? So that's one you can like turn lemons into lemonade. That's just an interesting thing. I've never heard of this. You would think that I would have, because this is really you would think this would be a perfect fit for a classical homeopath, which I am, but I've never heard of this symptom before, ever. The first thing, however, that springs to mind is it has something to do with lack of oxygen, right? So I would think he would need a circulation support. So my recommendation for him would be, which is my recommendation for everybody, right? Everybody has to stop eating the 10 bad foods, number one. And to support and promote healthy circulation, a really good place to start would be one Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquid. One Healthy Body Start Pack 2.0 liquid. 2 bottles of selenium. 1 bottle of plant-derived minerals per 100 pounds of body weight per month. Now, in addition to that, on top of that, 1 bottle of Ultimate Daily Capsules. 1 bottle of Ultimate Daily Capsules. I would also encourage him to learn, believe it or not, the lymphatic breathing technique, and practice the lymphatic breathing technique for 10 minutes twice a day. And you can learn how to do the lymphatic breathing technique by just going to drglidden.com and doing there's a little search button for my old radio programs. Into the little search box, type lymphatic breathing, and the show that I talk about, it pops right up, and we explain how to do the lymphatic breathing. I would have him do that. I believe that this is a circulation issue. That's, at least if this was happening to me, that's how I would be leaning, and that's where I would go. Does he have any other, high blood pressure or heartburn, anything else that's bothering him?
Yeah, he has a number of things, but
everybody does.
He's on dialysis, and
Well, okay, so if someone's on dialysis, right, that's a circulation issue because Dr. Wallach did 25,000 autopsies, and when you start doing that many autopsies, you start to see patterns emerge, and what Wallach found was when he was autopsying animals or people with bad kidneys, the actual kidney itself was fine. The problem was the blood flow in and around the kidney. Because the little arteries in the kidney, the little blood vessels in the kidney get clogged up the same way that the arteries in the heart get clogged up, and it's the same process, just coming out in a different part of the body now, right? The MD treatment for that is, what the heck, we have no idea what causes that to happen, so let's just, put a stent in your body and circulate your blood through a giant machine to clean it out, because we have no freaking idea what to do. So it's a circulation issue, which it makes me feel like the smartest man in class right now, but it's the same protocol. However, we must be advised here that when dialysis is in play, another thing to do to optimize circulation is antioxidant intake. 100,000 ORAC of antioxidants is a very good thing to add to that program. 100,000 ORAC of antioxidants. Remember, Robert, everything connects. It's never just one thing, it's everything. And this is the holistic method, through and through. Lean on it, have your father lean on it, and call us with your results. Hour 2 coming up, folks. Go to the drgliddenshow.tv and join the live chat.